Doo-doo, 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 doo-doo. Good afternoon or good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 12 Faces Sober Speaks podcast. This is episode 65. I have a great guest. She's about to come in just a second. I just want to do some house cleaning real quick. 12facesofsober.com. 12facesofsober.com has all the merch that you need in terms of shopping. Christmas is coming around. Veterans Day, support of veterans is on Friday. So Veterans Day. I have a sale going on right now. Once you get on the website, it'll say enter. Once you get on the website, enter the code 12 faces, just 12 faces, not of sober, just 12 faces, and you'll actually get 20% off. It's going on all the way from November. Well, it started, I think, on the 2nd or 3rd. It's going on until November 16th, which is a day after my 6-year sober anniversary. Hey, what's going on, Steph? How you doing? Like I said, you can get that. I would greatly appreciate the support. And but like I said, my guest is Cassie. She I've been following her for about a month, and the one thing that stood out about her page was the fact that she travels sober. So we're gonna have a discussion about that among other things. But I'm not gonna since I'm a couple minutes late, I'm gonna jump in, not even wait. But let me see if I can get her in here.
Hi.
What's going on? What's going on? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Just trying to stay warm here in Minnesota. It's I guess winter is finally showing itself, but I'm over it already. I'm ready to go to get back to some warm weather in Florida or something.
I feel you. I'm in Boston and it's beautiful out actually. We're getting like an Indian summer. It's like 70 degrees, 60 degrees. So pretty.
Mm,
But it's definitely going to be dropping soon. So I'll be feeling that.
okay.
Like wanting,
Well, huh?
like wanting to escape Boston, once it starts getting really cold.
I feel you. Well, welcome to 12 Faces Sober Speaks podcast. We pretty much, or I pretty much have guests on here. When I first started, it was more of authors because I'm an author as well, or and entrepreneurs. So, but here lately, I just been doing more or less of those in the recovery community. Also been focusing on people of color more because we exist in this community, but there's not a whole lot of platforms, at least that I see, that's out there. And so I want to, be a beacon of hope and light to others that, hey, you want to get on, share your story, share your business ventures and everything like that. Come on over this way. So without further ado, welcome again, Cassie, to 12 Faces Sober Speaks podcast.
Thank you so much for hosting and like inviting me to be on this podcast. I love what you said that you like initially, you're an author, you're an entrepreneur, and you were hosting like podcasts for that. And I'm an entrepreneur, but I also feel like sobriety is number one for me. Like I wouldn't be an entrepreneur if I wasn't sober. So sobriety first. I'm a sober advocate. I'm also an entrepreneur. I own like a couple different ventures. I have a consulting firm and I own a high quality CBD boutique that's located in the Boston area. So with the CBD, it's interesting because a lot of people are like, hey, well, CBD is like, get you high. And it's like me educating them that CBD doesn't get people high. Um,
Hmm.
but ultimately, I don't abuse CBD because I'm in recovery. And
Hmm.
so I utilize it if it's like I need to, if I'm having an issue sleeping or if I'm having severe anxiety or stressed.
Okay.
But I that so with my consulting, I do a lot of like life coaching and working with people to maximize their potential. I'm like you know, we have our master's degree and we want to utilize our skill set, everything we've learned. So bringing that forward and helping people. But like I said initially, sobriety is number one. And I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, thank you. So, why don't you give us a background? I know you mentioned that you're out, you said in the Boston area, but what was it like for you growing up? Was alcohol present in the home? Did you, or if it wasn't in the home, was it at the family functions, things like that? So, how was that for you?
So I'm Latina, right? Like our culture is like you work hard all week and at the end of the week you could drink. Growing up though, my mom thankfully was never into drinking alcohol. I think the first time I saw her having a beer, I lost it and I was like maybe 9 and I couldn't understand or comprehend her having a drink and what that meant because I always looked at alcohol as being something extremely bad for you. But my dad, like my biological father, wasn't in the picture much. And he suffered from addiction himself. He's not in the program or anything like that, but that gene is in my body, right? The addiction, the alcoholism is in my body. And my stepdad, you know, he drank, but he wasn't like a big drinker, but I do remember being really young and having sips of beer, just like trying it with him and just being really young. And I love the taste of beer, so it was never anything. But I think my greatest influence with alcohol and drugs was my older siblings. They, you know, I always like felt like I wanted to associate with them and like just be like surrounded by them. But I'm the only girl in like all my cousins, and like I have like no girl cousins on my dad's side, and I'm the only girl in my whole family. So I think that taking on that role of like wanting to be like connected with my family in some way or some form was surrounded by alcohol and drugs. So there was that. But I can't like blame my siblings or my family. It was my choice. And at a young age, you know, I wanted to smoke weed and I wanted to drink. And I was the friend that was always like, hey, let's get shit-faced. It was never like, let's go do a vision board, or it was always like to the next level. I always wanted to like get lit. And that started at like young age, being an adolescent, just wanting to get shit-faced all the time, drinking, drugging, to the point that I was probably in 7th grade and I started selling weed because I knew that if I could sell weed, then I can have weed for myself. And that entrepreneurship started real young, you know?
Yeah.
With the weed, it was like, that's who I was. That was my identity. You know, I was known for like being the pop princess because I essentially was able to, yeah, like be able to get
Oh,
people
wow.
like have a lot of weed. And with that though, then it was like ecstasy, and then it was Molly, and then it was always alcohol was there though. That never was. It was always paired with everything. You know, 99 bananas. I remember those. Wow, that was like next level of the drink. But
Mm.
yeah, that was who I was. My identity was drinking and drugging, and
Mm.
so much so that like being in the nightlife and like bartending, and then like going in from being a bartender to like, okay, I don't want to just be a bartender, but now I want to be a level 2 sommelier. And like, so like level 1, then level 2. So like becoming an expert in like the substance that essentially poisons us so that I can
Mm.
sell more of it so that I can make more money.
Mm.
And with that, then I had to drink more, right? So here I am like, oh, I have like these great tasting notes and like drinking all this wine and champagne and like gaining such knowledge about this, like these products, but just to sell it essentially. And
Mm.
then at the end of the day, I'm having 3 bottles of champagne, 2 bottles of Bordeaux, like just embracing alcoholism.
Mm.
And you know, I loved Fernet Branca, and we call it forget about it because you just black out. Like you just
Mm.
like it's nuts. The way that we live, right? Or where I lived. But I was in the hospitality industry, and I was like, okay, I really want to go paint the town red in Vegas. So I ended up moving from Boston to Las Vegas
Oh,
to
wow.
like work in the hospitality industry and like paint the town red. And I knew that I was going into Las Vegas as like to go get like lit. Like that was my mission, like go enjoy my life. That was what life
Mm.
was. was to go have fun. And so when I got to Vegas, automatically it was like, it was before Vegas I got there, I was already wild. But when I was in Vegas, it was next level. People would come
Yeah.
to visit and be like running away from me because it was like, no, let's not stop 2-day benders. It was nonstop. Um,
Oh yeah, trust me, not to cut you off. I know my last time in Vegas, I was supposed to be there for a weekend and I left within 24 hours.
Really?
Yeah. In 2015, it was I surprised one of my best friends from like junior high. I can't remember. I think he turned like 36, 37, something like, well, yeah, 30, 35, 36. And I surprised him. We had a wild a wild night. I stayed at the Links, I think it was, and whatever club or casino that's across the street from the Links, went there and I was like, yeah, hotel security and all kind of crazy stuff. I said, I'm good. And I left.
Like, were you using and drinking then, or were you sober when you went to
I
Vegas?
was drinking. Yeah, I was drinking.
Oh,
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. It was, I call it the black hangover because it was like literally, I did not sleep. I worked that Friday, got off work, got on a plane from Phoenix, went from Phoenix to Vegas. Then that wild night, and then the next, I got back on the flight maybe at about maybe 3 o'clock that afternoon. Got back about 5:36, and then was like, I'm not going back to Vegas, and I haven't been back since. I was like, I'm cool.
I
Yeah.
salute you, because it was, for me, it was never enough. Like, I wanted to keep going. I remember one of my friends was like visiting me from LA, and she was, we went to like the nightclub, then we were like, hanging out with like this woman that was like handicapped in the club, taking her stroll. Like, it was just wild. Like, we were doing,
Mm.
and then the following, like that same night, we were up all night, and I was like, hey, do you want to go to like a pool party? And she's like, what's that like? And I was like, bum, bum. But she was like, peace out. You're crazy. Like, you're nuts. Like, how do you keep going? And I'm just like, this is what life is. Like, you get chip face and like, but all of that, I was associated with such toxic human beings at the same time, right? Like, I was toxic. I was associated with toxic human beings, and I got robbed for so much, like so many goods, so much money, so many times because of my alcoholism and addiction.
Mm.
And blame people. I know that it was my own doing and my ignorance, but with that, I realized that this isn't the life for me. Like, I was losing everything. I lost everything over and over again, and the game wasn't for me. So I was like, I got to get out of here. And
Mm.
with that, I just like would keep drinking and drugging, and I just never wanted the party to stop. I never wanted it to stop. I would be the last one. Everybody's like going to sleep, and I'm like, why? It's like, doesn't make any sense. I never
Mm.
understood the whole concept of having one drink. To paint the picture, it'd be like starting the night off with a glass of champagne, and then going in, like, you just then go to martini, and then you have the wine, then you have the after dinner drink, and then you're out for the club for the bottles, then you have shots, and then at the end of the night, I always needed a beer because I needed to keep that liquor down from keeping me puking, and the beer settles the stomach. So I had it all down. I
Mm.
had it with tea. I knew how to drink. But with that, I also needed other substances to keep me able to keep going, because I just never wanted the party to stop. And that was how it was for me. It was just like never ending. I wanted it to keep going. And like I said, it was very like insane to think that I was the only one that always wanted to keep partying. Everyone else knew how to stop.
Mm.
I just
Yeah,
didn't.
you picked the right city to go do all of that in Vegas, because that's a city that don't sleep. So you know what I'm saying? Because I remember that time I had went, it was right by the M&M store. I think it was at like one of the little Circle K's on the strip, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, man." He was like, "You could drink it in the store." I said, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Yeah, man, go ahead and crack it open right here." I'm like, inside? You mean inside the store? I mean, yeah, go ahead and open. This is the guy at the register. It was like, open it up. I was like, okay. But yeah, that's not, I mean, it's not, Vegas is not for everybody, needless
Oh,
to say.
God. It was amazing. And I did crazy stuff in Vegas. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how I got home some of the nights. I
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of homies, a lot of like, people that passed away from drug addiction, from alcoholism. We forget that just because the person like died from like getting in a car accident, they were drunk, right? Like that's what got them there. Like we forget these things, and I was so drunk and like lit all the time that I would get in the car after I had my beer, of course, because I already told you I needed my beer to like settle the stomach. And I would drive home. And when I got home, like I would pass out. But I would be in my car garage, my car's still running. The doors, thank God, was still open. Right. And I'd wake up with the sun up. Like, and I would see taquitos, because my thing was taquitos at the end of the night. I would go to 7-Eleven and get all the taquitos if I could, right? That's what it was. I was like, taquitos. I don't even know being there, but I would get my taquitos, or I would stop at Carl's Jr. or McDonald's, something at the end of the night and grab. But it would be all over my car. My shoes past test, like thrown in the back seat, and just living that life of like risk. Literally, I remember like just risking it all the time. And I remember wanting to die. I remember like looking off the like ledge of the Cosmopolitan Casino. Like they had like one of the only hotels in Vegas that have like a patio, I guess. And I remember looking over the ledge wanting to jump.
Oh wow.
Desire to stay alive. Like what was the point? And it was because you have such highs and fucking such highs, such lows. You literally have such lows and such highs stuff, right? Like you're doing Molly, you're doing Coke, you're doing all this stuff. You are depleting your brain of serotonin. I mean, from a neurological standpoint, right? Like you're depleting yourself, and then you crave that and you just chase it. Thanks for asking.
Now, Vegas is something else. I'm gonna say that, just say it like that. But despite the fact that all of that was going on in Vegas, was that like the boiling point for you to want to stop? Or did you say, okay, I need to get out of Vegas because this is just way too much going on? And then you went back home, and did it continue, or you actually stopped doing the drug and the drinking in Vegas?
I didn't think there was anything wrong with my behavior. This is all fact. I went home. Vegas literally kicked me out of Vegas. Like I got kicked out in a way that like doesn't, like, it's just mind-blowing. The universe works so crazy and mysteriously, but I literally got kicked out of Vegas, went back home to Boston, and just continued my pattern. There was no like, oh, I was like, okay, Vegas like was, just not the place for me. I got to go back home. And I just continued my own way of thought process, like still getting lit, still partying. And I decided to stop drinking and using when a friend of mine, I have my husband now. I put him through a lot. And my thought process with him was like, this is who I am. Like, you don't need to be with me. Like, I don't need to be with you. Like, this is who I am. You're either going to like me or not. Because I was fun when we were a couple of weeks ago when we were first started dating. So what's the difference now? I didn't understand. It was like, this is who I am. I drink and I drug. Like, you're going to like me or not. And my husband at that time was just like, that's not who you are. And he was my boyfriend at that time, and he just didn't understand my thought process. And I don't either now to this day. It doesn't make any sense. But I remember drinking a lot. And he would get out of work. He worked so hard. He's like one of the best people I've ever met. And he would get out of work, and I would be drunk half the time. And he would just ignore me, like didn't want anything to do with me. I didn't understand what his problem was. I'm like, what? And he would tell me like, this isn't the life I want for myself. And I didn't get it. I'm like, well, then I guess we're not going to be together. But my girlfriend, one of my friends, like, hey, I do Sober September. Do you want to try it with me? And I was like, sure, I'll try it. And I tried it, and I just never stopped. And with that, I realized all my behaviors and how toxic they were. It wasn't like I had a rock bottom. I mean, I had many rock bottoms, but I never looked at it like that. I thought that was life, that's like, that's what we do. We drink hard and we party hard. Like what's the problem with that? Even till this day, I have siblings and friends that I talk to, and they're like, I deserve this. Like I could, like, what? Like, this is what life is. Like, that was it was never like, I need to stop. No. There was never my thought process like, no, I'm never stopping. This is who I am.
And even with all of that, the bad experiences that you had in Vegas. You said you were robbed. And I'll say it because I know that I was, and just hearing you speak, you were selfish. You only cared about yourself, and I'm not trying to say it in an offensive way. I'm just saying that, you only thought about you. It didn't matter what others may have thought about you. It was like, this is who I'm gonna be. And then you said the sober September. So is that like your official, like your sober date is in September, or that was just the first time? Okay.
Time ever getting into sobriety was September 1st of 2017, I think, or 18.
Hmm.
It's been 4 years. So that's my sober date. And I haven't stopped since.
Okay.
Lapsed. Maybe I will one day. I do go to those thought processes and I have reservations. Like I'll drink one day. But I get to those, like I got married in August and I had my bachelorette, I had my bridal shower, I had my wedding, and I didn't drink. But each time, and I got my master's degree, I got all these accolades and milestones in my life. And each time I said, I will drink when I get there. I'll drink when I get there. But when I get there, it's just not worth risking my sobriety because I know that once I drink, that it's just going to be the end. Like everything I have will fall apart. The risk is not worth it. It's not worth it. And I'm all about risk and reward, right? Like I'm a hustler. I'm an entrepreneur. Like, does it make sense? No, it doesn't make sense. What am I going to go drink and drug for? Like to risk it all? Like it doesn't make sense. It's stupid. And now like, where I come from the hood, right? Like that's where I come from. I come from the hood. I've seen it all. I've done it all. And where I come from, we don't switch up. We don't switch up. We're not supposed to switch up.
Mhm.
What do you think
It's
you're
not.
that tripping? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you switching up? Who are you? So I had to defy all the odds, challenge the status quo within my own family structure because no one in my family is sober. And I'm the only one and I'm the weirdo. And
Don't feel bad because it's kind of, I ain't gonna say like my immediate family, because the majority of them, they drink. But my mom, she doesn't drink. You touched on, touched me, because I remember my mom did the same thing. One time she drank. I said, "Mom, you tripping? Let me get that glass." But yeah, it's like that. You know what I mean? My cousins, aunts, uncles, they drink, and it's like, wow, okay. I know I used to drink, but I no longer drink. I don't want that shit. I'm good, because I see, just like you said. I mean, you mentioned accomplishments. You mentioned accolades. You got a bachelor's, a master's. You got married. Some of those things, I'm not sure you probably would have been able to do if you were still out there using.
nah,
You know
bro,
what I'm
I was
saying?
someone before and I was probably the worst girlfriend. I think I like beat him up so many times with bottles and like, threw stuff at him because I was so lit, so gone. And like, I didn't understand why he didn't want to commit to me. Like, what was wrong? Why don't you love me? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, I was a
Mhm.
pretty girl. Like, I
Mhm.
would never want to be sitting with that person again. I like look at photos and I'm disgusted of who I was.
Mhm.
And that's what personal development and personal growth is, right? It's
Yes.
constantly striving for the next level. Like, if you're doing the same thing you were doing 2 months ago, I can't fuck with you. Like, what are we
Right.
doing? Swearing on your podcast. I'm
Oh, you
sorry.
good? No, you listen. We grown. Don't worry. Don't worry. Right.
I cannot deal with you. Like, I'm like forward motion only, you
Mm.
know? And it comes to such a detriment too, because it's like, when can you just chill and relax? But I'll tell you this, I can. Every moment I'm in gratitude, I'm happy, I'm present, I'm here with you. I'm here with you, right? But like at the
Mhm.
end of the day, like it's the next level. Like what are we doing next? And that's just forward thinking, forward thought process. And like, yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
And so you mentioned, because it sounded like you just quit cold turkey. And so how was that for you in terms of like quitting like that? Did you experience any cravings, the night sweats, the tremors? Did you experience any of that when you early in your sobriety?
Those are all great questions. like what we call it, white knuckling, right? Like when you're doing it without any support, you're going cold turkey. I did that, and I regret it. I regret it. I
Okay.
wish I got in the rooms earlier. I wish I created connections with several people earlier because it wouldn't have been so hard. My sobriety journey was so hard. So hard that I isolated myself and I couldn't even surround myself with people that were drinking, and I tend to still not, but like it was so hard that because I'm a psychologist, I understand how the brain works and how we are conditioned as humans. So understanding learning behavior, I was able to eliminate any stimulus or environments that would make me want to elicit a reaction to drink or drug. Essentially, I knew that if I was surrounding, like I had really close friends, but every time I got with them, we're getting in the car and I'm rolling up a blunt and we're smoking, right? Like I can't hang out with that person because my brain is already associated surrounding myself with that person with drinking and drugging. Nothing against them, but that's how my brain and my patterns were. So I had to not around them. And I told them honestly, like, I love you, but at this point, like I can't hang out with you for a minute. Like I gotta take care of me for. And now I could surround myself with them under my conditions because it just been crazy. But I had to do it on my own. And I remember like the hardest thing was telling my family I was like sober and them laughing at me and cracking on me. Like they were like,
Wow.
oh, you're better than us. Like I don't have, like I go to AA meetings and I hear people talking about, wow, my family was so happy I got sober, right? Like and I'm just yeah.
They're on the other end of the spectrum. That's interesting. Wow. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Yeah, sorry, I just got a call, but I didn't have that opportunity. Like I didn't get that support, and I think that's a part of my story is not getting support. Like that's what makes me resilient.
Yeah, and someone said cold turkey can be so tough when it feels like all of society revolves around substance use to have fun. Yeah, that is true. Because like mentioned, like a lot of especially in the black and brown community, we associate with drinking, and if your family does drugs, those are some of the things that's a part of the celebration amongst the fellowship and the eating good and stuff like that. And but it is a challenge. It is a challenge, and that to me, I don't know how I would have taken that if I would have came and announced to my family like, hey, I'm no longer drinking, and everybody's laughing. Like, even with a straight face, even if I'm like, look, I'm serious, I'm giving it up this time. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I think that, in our households, the discussion needs to be just, talked about more instead of it being something that's being made fun of. You know what I'm saying? Because some of those same people that probably was laughing at you, they probably have a problem themselves.
Facts.
Yeah,
Facts.
that's that.
And that's
And
their own journey. Everybody has their own journey and how they're going to get to it. And I have to internalize that. And I cried about it and I have to deal with it. But that's my journey. And that's what makes me such a savage, essentially. Because like, tell me I can't do it and I'm going to go do it. Like,
right.
Like I've never been applauded. Like, yes, do it. Like, and I mean, I'm my biggest applaud. Like I applaud for myself all day. I'm so loud of like what I do because I don't need it from anyone else. It's for me. For me, I do this right. And I know that with sobriety, we get to show up for people. We get to be present for people. We get to give them the gift of our sobriety. And I know that like speaks volumes more than anything. I know fact 100%. And I know that with my actions, I will inspire maybe my next generation or even maybe some of my family members to get sober. Maybe not right now, maybe in a couple of years, maybe next month, who knows? But like, I know that I'm doing it for me more than.
Right. As you should. And I agree with you on the other statement that you just made that like, yeah, if you're not doing it or being an example amongst the family currently, hopefully, in the next 5 or 10 years or something, that someone that has noticed like, okay, this is family member so and so. Now she's doing X, Y, and Z, and look how life has been now by her just giving up that lifestyle. Yeah, okay, we can all brag and write home to it. Okay, I worked in entertainment up here. I know what that lifestyle. First time seeing cocaine and all that stuff, I was, at an age where I was like, I didn't want to see it. But the thing is that that's the development of the growth in itself, is that you are recognizing it and making sure that you don't want to go down that road, or anybody else for that matter, to experience those same things.
Yeah, I said it this weekend, and I'll say it every time I see my brother's children. I will not be the drunk aunt. No one will know me as that. Like, I have stepchildren, stepdaughters. I will not be that drunk sibling, that aunt, that stepmom, that like, they won't know that of me. So that's like, that to me makes me so happy, because like when I think about the future, I know that I give them me 100%, not like a version of me that's diluted. And I feel like when you drink and drug, you're diluting the moment in a way so profound. People don't know it, but it's just so profound. Yeah.
Yeah, I will see my niece and nephews, they kind of range in age. One of my nephews is only 6 years younger than me, so he saw a lot more compared to my niece and nephew that are in their early 20s. They saw me drunk. They saw me laid out on the floor, but they were younger. And so maybe they didn't understand it. Now they just understand, okay, Uncle Junior is now sober. Uncle Junior is not passed out somewhere. Uncle Junior is not getting into family fights and stuff. So that's the essence, is to be able to make an example of what, who you are today compared to whatever that wild lifestyle that you may have had in the past. So I think that is definitely really dope. Now,
Really quick though, I agree with you. Got nieces and nephews that are older, and the older spectrum too, and those have seen me drunk. And it's funny because like Titi Casey taught me what a power nap was. I remember when I went in the living room and I saw her like this, I was like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm having a power nap." That's how like lit I would get, that I'm like, I need a quick power nap. Like, so they did see it, but the younger ones won't know when drunk on.
Mm-hmm. And then let's see, we gonna do it a little different than how I normally do it. We're gonna take a quick shift on the what I do as far as the quotes. I usually pick quotes from a person's page, and then we'll have a discussion about that. So the first one I have is, getting sober was the only option, or else late nights would have continued in the early mornings. Now, that one stuck out a lot because as soon as I heard the late nights and early mornings, I thought of Marsha Ambrosius from Floetry, because she got an album, Late Nights and Early Mornings. But that was me. It was like, I drank until the late of the night, had that power nap from 2, 3 o'clock in the morning until 6. And then I got back up and started drinking again. And this was, obviously post-military, because I was in the military. So that first year of me being out, it was almost like every single day, like clockwork. And so that one really and truly stood out to me. So, what were you thinking when you had posted that one?
For me, it was always drinking led to other things, which led to me staying up all day. And then my whole day is being ruined all the time. It was never, I would have like a night out and be able to go to bed and wake up early and feel like productive the next day. Like, no, it was the whole cycle of it. Other people that could do it, I salute you. I salute you and I see you. But for me, it was never that. It was, it was like nights turned into early mornings, because I never wanted it to end, ever.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I totally feel you on that one, for real. And then the second one was, let's see. For so long, I was just sober, miserable, bitter, and angry. Working on my recovery gives me the opportunity to connect with like-minded people and advocate for myself.
Yeah, that's because I went in cold turkey, and
Hmm.
I didn't like connect with other sober people. It was just me, and that's bitter, and that's angry and lonely, and like that's not what, we know that the opposite of addiction is connection, right? We know that,
Hmm.
like, being in recovery means connecting with other people, doing what we're doing right now, sharing the word, helping, being a role model. Like, we know this. With recovery, we got to do all of that. So
Hmm.
when I was sober for the first couple years, I was quiet about it. I was to myself. I didn't know I didn't have anyone to like share like what I was thinking or how I was feeling or how angry I was that I couldn't smoke the weed that I wanted to smoke or drink the drinks that I wanted to, or like, it was really bitter. It was a bitter feeling. The point that it didn't make me a good person. I was just a dry drunk, you
Hmm.
know, saying that like you're sober but drunk mentally.
Hmm. I would have to agree somewhat to that quote, because I know that when I had first had got sober, as I mentioned before we went live, I went straight from rehab to grad school. So it was like I never really addressed my, those issues that I had from that failed marriage. And because for the next 2 years, that's all I focused on was like, I got to get this degree. I got to get this master's degree because I failed at it in 2014. And so it was like, okay, a lot of these, mental health issues that I had developed over the years, and now I have to deal with them on my own without having to drink. It was like, okay, I can go to therapy, but I'm still not necessarily focusing on all of it because I got school, and so that to me was my recovery, because I took my mind off of all the problems that I had, and now I'm shifting those problems into something totally different where I didn't have to worry, because that was like the first time in roughly 6 years that I was only thinking about myself, because I was married for 6 years. And so it was like, okay, I don't have the stepkids. I don't have to worry about who to add to my insurance this month and whatever. Now I could just focus on me. And so it was like, you know what? We'll focus on other stuff once I finish this master's. And so that's what happened. And then it led to me writing the book. So it was like my therapy and addressing the stuff was once I finished school and was like, all right, now I can, sit still for a minute and process what has happened to me in my whole entire life on top of these last 2 years of being sober. So I definitely like that. Now, what does recovery look like what does recovery look like to you today?
Going to meetings, showing up,
Okay.
like acts of service, like helping people, reaching out to people that are in sobriety, just checking in. How are you? Are you flagging? Like, is there anything I could do to support you? Um, Also just doing the work and like listening to my higher power all the time. Like
Mm,
recovery, like just being like not being so bitter. I still want to drink and smoke. I don't lie about that. I
mm,
do. I won't do it because I know I
mm,
can't. Um, and yeah, recovery to me is just doing the work, man. Doing the work, like helping, being there for people, and showing up to meetings and talking in the meetings. Doing
mm.
this. This is recovery for me.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because like I said, I learn with every interview I have, I learn something. If not, I try to, you know, piece it together. Like, how is the connection there? And just like I said, you mentioned, the fact that you got both degrees you said since you got sober, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
so even with that, even in my case, it was like that. I got my degree during my sobriety, and something I didn't think I would ever even get, because I was told I'll be a drunk with a bachelor's degree, but now I'm sober with a master's. So it just kind of how hindsight, 2020 is that, you remove yourself from situations, and then, things kind of change for the better. Now,
Yeah.
I noticed that you had went to a basketball game. I'm not a Celtics fan, but what do you mean? I'm from the West Coast. You know what I'm saying? Even though that they struggling, I'm a Lakers fan. Grown, you know,
Uh, you know,
grew up a fan.
I won't put on here, but
Yeah. So, but
come on.
yeah. So how is that? How is it like for you going to events like that, where it's a high energy atmosphere? There's a pretty good a pretty good chunk of the crowd is, if they're not intoxicated before they got there or high before they got there, they're into something while they're at the event. So how is that for you now, compared to what maybe you were doing prior to drinking and using?
I mean, every type of celebration included drinking for me in life. Like anytime you're going out, I was drinking. Now, when I go to these games, it's like it's different. It's an intention, like being intentional of like I'm going to the game and I'm gonna enjoy the game. I'm gonna enjoy the atmosphere. Not like go to I'm gonna get the nachos with cheese or a pizza, like thinking and like premeditating what that's gonna look like, because before it was like shots and like free gaming and sneaking in nips to drink it at the game, and like this whole perspective of like what celebration, what life looked like for me was totally different. Now I go to the game and there's like some really good NA beers out there, so I'm always looking for those just to have one so I can have something to drink. And then definitely finishing off with some ice cream, because like I deserve it. Like, that like my sweetness, that sweet tooth, like that's what it is for me. And then I just get to look around and I get to see the beauty of life and like the gratitude I have to be able to be in those spaces and like be able to be like present. And then I get to see the other people that are like on the other end, where they're like
Yeah.
either they're drunk getting walked out,
Yeah.
or like falling down the stairs because they can't, like, and I just like, then I have gratitude for my decisions. Like, that's where I'm at. I'm just like, I don't think I'm better than anyone. I just passed it. I'm done. I'm not there. I even got invited to a Patriots game recently, and go Pats. Let's go Pats. I'm just kidding.
Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Now you got to get permission to be shouting out teams on there. Now I'm a Chargers fan, so don't get it twisted, okay? We're gonna talk some trash. We're gonna talk some trash. Now I'm just playing. That's what's up, though.
No, I got invited to the Patriots game, and my girl asked me, and she's like, one of my really close friends, and she's like, hey, will you come to the game? I was like, absolutely, I'll go anywhere with you. Moment later, she told me who that was going. And I have to check in with my higher power. Like, can I go to this game with these people that I know might be intoxicated and might be? And I love her, and I was like, hey, listen, I love you, but I cannot go.
Right.
Like,
And
knowing.
I was gonna say that takes a lot of discipline. It definitely takes a lot of discipline to know that those that you kind of have no business being around. If you know what I'm saying, it's just, I trust me, in my 6 years I've had to avoid certain people because of that. Like, nah, I just can't be around you. I'm sorry, I just can't.
She was asking me, like, what did this person do to you? And I was like, listen, I wish them well. They've never done anything wrong to me. It's just more like they're part of my past and where I'm going. I just don't think we align right now. And I love you, but like, I'll go to a game with you another time. Have fun. And then when I reached out to her, it was a terrible time. Like, why would I want to put myself in that position? Exactly.
I agree with you on that one.
It's crazy, and I know it takes a lot of discipline, but like, we all make choices. We got to make the right choice. And that's what it is for me. It's like every road we come to, there's a good choice or a bad choice, and you make it. You got to listen to your higher power. You got to know like that what you're doing is for the best you in the future. You're going to look back and say, damn, did I make that right choice? And I've been in the position where I made the wrong choice, and you learn from it. That's all.
What's up, Griff? It's my bro from the Army. He just ordered the book actually on Friday, and I think he's saying the book is going to arrive, I think, sometime today. Now, you, as I mentioned, how I found your page was the fact that you coincided sober in travel. Now, that was something that I did, especially before the pandemic. I was traveling all throughout the country. Didn't get to Boston. I chose DC over Boston in 2018. But the only reason why too is because I went to the African American History Museum in DC. But the person I had went with, they wanted to go to Boston, and I was like, I don't know what's up in Boston, so I didn't do that. But what would you consider now that you're sober and you're able, you're probably still traveling, but do you have would you say you've had better experiences traveling sober over drinking, your past, going on these, wherever vacations and, getting intoxicated, if not using stuff like that. So, what's the difference between the two?
So for like, I always traveled. I've always been a traveling person. I love seeing the world. And for me, it's always been like going to travel to get fucked up or get wasted. And now my whole life has shifted where it's like I travel to actually enjoy the culture of the place or to see things that I wouldn't have before. Like I used to travel and just sleep all day because I was so lit from the night before. Like it doesn't make any sense. I would travel just for the nightlife, and that is just like such a small slither of the world, right? And now I'm able to like go places and be intentional of like um where I want to go, what I'm going to do, and I even like make it an intentional act to go to some AA meetings while I'm traveling. So I went to Miami, and I like, went to like the Sobe House in Miami, which was such amazing, beautiful humans in like Miami, like all sober, just talking. It was just so awesome. And I go to like Nantucket or something, and I'll go to like a meeting there. And wherever I travel, I make sure I hit up a meeting and like explore those rooms and connect with other sober people. And yeah, like sobriety is just like when I travel now, it's just a different way of living. I used to travel to drink and go to the bars. Now I travel to explore the cuisine. So if I'm in France, I'll like go look for all the macaroons and the croissants, instead of going to all the bars to hit up and like try their wine or something. If I'm in, sorry, I got somebody at the door. I have a meeting at 1:45 that I'm running late into.
I'm sorry. My bad.
No,
You didn't tell me. You didn't tell me you had a time limit. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look. What we'll do? I'm gonna ask one more question, and then we gonna cut it because I know you got stuff to do. But you want to go open the door?
Sure. No, go ahead. You ask a question.
Okay. Black and brown community facing the drugs and alcohol. It's being pushed in music. It's being pushed on TV. It's being pushed on social media. Um, what how many more discussions do we need to have like this in order for people to understand that this is really destroying our community?
Yeah, it's the sessions are endless. We have to keep going. We got to keep advocating. We got to be loud. Like I said the other day, and I keep saying, we are louder about our sobriety because we know that there are people out there that are struggling in silence, and we gotta help them. We gotta show them that like there is opportunity. There's a different way to living, and they are worthy of it. Man, they are worthy of it. And if they don't think they are, like their children are worthy of having sober parents, or their family is worthy of having sober like family members. Like you are worthy of like living a life that's healthy and has so much potential. And for me, sobriety has just given me such a level of confidence that no one can take away. And it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. I remember like being young and being in school and the dare, right? Like the dare was such a big one. And you're like, yes, just say no to drugs. And the power of no is so huge. But it really has to be something that comes from the top down. If we can get some artists, if we can get some really good musicians to talk about, like I love Jack Harlow. Why?
Hmm.
He's sober and he's open about his sobriety. And he even says the reason why he is where he is right now is because of his sobriety. I love these celebrities that are like open about it, like, hey, listen, this isn't for you. Look at Aaron Carter just passed away, right? Like people like that are influential, like we need to get them to be more about living. But that's not gonna sell, right? Like what sells is killing people. What sells is
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
because they losing millions upon millions if those people, those same individuals are not spending the money on the drugs and alcohol,
yeah.
which is sad. But like I said, put that money into something else, rebuilding communities or something. But
Massive
look, I know you. I know you're at work and everything. We definitely gonna have to have a part two,
love.
because there's a whole lot more to discuss. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for you guys tuning in and commenting. And Cassie, I'm super proud of you. You're doing a lot of big things out there, and I know that we will definitely have a part two. And as far and future collaborations, because I want to be on your podcast. Shameless plug, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, thank you again for coming on. And like I said, we'll definitely be in touch as far as having a part two, because there's a lot more things I want to discuss with you. So enjoy the rest of your day at work. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to 12 Phases Sober Speaks podcast. Until tomorrow, when I go live tomorrow night, you guys take care and be blessed.
All right. Take
Thank
care.
you,
Thank
Kathy.
you. Bye.
All right, now. Bye. All right. Like I said, Griff, I'm gonna tell you, bro, you need to just cut it out. That's it. Just look yourself in the mirror and say, I don't want that shit no more. Okay? And for everybody else tuning in and commenting, thank you. The Sober Soldier, man. I appreciate all the love when I do have the lives. But like I said, thank you. Thank you. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day, and y'all be blessed.